So I got another one of these. Does this look familiar to you? If you've seen the unboxing of the Beluga Fortress carrying case, it might look familiar because it was wrapped just like this one. And I've got another one, so I'm adding to it. It's not the full cube like you see. It's not the full cube like you see here. Well, okay, so this isn't a full cube. This is a quarter cube. It's just adding to that. And I didn't anticipate buying any additions to this Beluga Fortress set quite this soon. But the deal is, you notice that it's not full necessarily, but I've got, hey buddy, I've got 10 kill team members coming. They're not quite ready, but they're, I'd say, about 3/4 of the way painted. And so those dudes are going to live right down there in that gap. So I have this lower panel that's halfway full of hell blasters, and it's going to get filled up, I think, nearly to it with the kill team. And that leaves me with this spot here for the Rhino and the assorted weapons, the Dreadnought, and you'll see there brother Aramis from an earlier video. He's large and in charge. In this spot, I can probably fit another handful of Terminators. I can maybe fill in some of this space with some Terminators, assuming I magnetize everything down so it doesn't slip around and damage anything. So I'm running out of spots, and I'm doing the kill team. Once I finish those guys, I'll be out of space, and yeah, I've got this pile of shame over here. I cannot stop buying Warhammer 40k stuff, apparently. Now, some of these I've done the unboxing for already. I filmed it, but I haven't even started painting, so I haven't done anything. And so for some of these, I've actually lost the footage. I don't know what happened to the unboxing footage, so I'm going to have to reshoot it. And so I've got a box of attack bikes. I've got a box of intercessors. I've got a Space Marine Tactical Squad, which I cannot use for my Death Watch army. So there's that. I've got this Mark III Space Marines, which, I mean, obviously I can't use as a squad, but I could probably use the bits in other stuff. Probably for firstborn troops, the scale is a little different, I think, for the Primaris troops. So this is probably just going to be a bits box. Maybe I'll make one or two of the dudes. So, you know, I can't do a whole lot with this. Also, I'm not quite ready to start kit bashing because I'm still working on my skill set. I've got the Primaris Chaplain on bike, which I'm really excited to do, but I don't have any bikes yet. Well, okay, so I have bikes, but I haven't built any bikes yet. So there's that. There's the Primaris Repulsor Executioner, because while my firstborn have a Rhino now to ride in, my intercessors, when they're done, should also have some way to ride in style. I've got the Death Watch kill team over here. I've got another Death Watch kill team over there. And I mentioned earlier that I'm working on finishing a 10-man Death Watch kill team. Well, so I bought these kind of a mistake. I originally bought the 10-man unit, and then I wasn't sure if that would include the pauldrons, the chapter-specific pauldrons, which is what I was really after. And I bought these. I'm not quite sure what my thought process was. At the end of the day, I'm going to have way more of these guys than I actually need. I'm not quite sure what to do with these. Maybe I'll keep them around. Maybe I'll build them. I don't know. But I have a ton of, I guess, Space Marine veterans. And then back here, I've got my Black Bastion platoon, which I'm not going to start for a while. I mean, I've got a while to go before I start a second army. I want to finish this Death Watch army first. So I've got a lot to do hobby-wise, and I need a place for them to live. This won't accommodate everything, obviously, but it'll accommodate a few more, and that's what I'm after. So I'll build it up and see what it looks like after this. Here is my latest purchase from Crystal Fortress. I don't know what it is. I ordered two things from them, kind of in short order, and I no longer remember what it was that I ordered, so I'm hoping the invoice here will tell me. And in fact, I'm hoping both of the things that I ordered are in here. Pretty sturdily packed, which is important since these are basically acrylic, and I can see where they'll be easily damaged in transport. Okay. So I think I have an idea of what this is about. So let's start with this guy. The Crystal Fortress Ultimate Display Case System 2-inch something. And I believe this is okay, it's just the Orca Beluga case assembly instructions. I think this is the the red resin, the red acrylic kind of storage kit. I wanted some place to keep. Oh, this is not that. Okay, well, let me get something to open that with. I'm still not entirely sure what this is. I didn't see an invoice. I may just have to go back to my my order email to see what it is that I ordered. Whatever it was that I ordered, I had a good reason for ordering. I just don't remember off the top of my head. So this looks like just a simple extra. I believe it was the Beluga cube, so it's just another cube. It's another cube like one of these. So that's the longer one. I believe that's the Orca 2-inch. That is the Beluga 2-inch. So I think I ordered another one of these. But the second piece is another one of these, but it's a little different. So I'm pretty sure that's what this is. I'm going to build it and get a Beluga case. Now the reason I bought this will almost only make sense if what's in here is what I think it is. So let's check that out. So included in the package, I got this little cardboard thing. It says 71 out of 100. If I remember correctly, this was a limited production run. I don't remember all the details, but they were only going to make a certain number of these. Oh, this has the polishing cloth, which I will use occasionally for my Crystal Fortress cases, but mostly I'll use them for my old man glasses. It's nice to have another one of these. If my purchasing from Crystal Fortress goes the way it has been, I'll have a house full of these in no time. That's not a humble brag, that's a cry for help. So, let's see what we got here. Yep, that's what it is. So this, I believe, is a modified Beluga case, but it's designed in such a way that it has some subdividers, so you can basically have containers for stuff. Specifically, all those weapons that I'm beginning to amass from all the kits I'm magnetizing, I'll be able to store them in this. So they'll still be in the carrying case, but they won't be visually distracting as much. So you'll notice notice that this is very different from the other crystal armor box thing, in that the acrylic is not completely transparent. Well, I mean, this is really transparent, but it's got this twinge of red. So it's slightly more opaque than the completely clear stuff. That should hide the weapons that I'm going to store in this pretty reasonably well, while still preserving the transparent feel of the container itself. Let's do some building, shall we? And there's no instruction manual. This should be interesting going. Thankfully, I remembered how I did the first one of these. So it should go here. Should go here. Let's just start building. So the package included two of these larger, I guess, base pieces, two of these, which should probably serve as the sides for these guys, two of these, which will do the alternate sides of these guys, and here's where I begin to get lost. Because I have two of these, I'm guessing they'll make a smaller container that'll fit inside this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these. 2 of these. 2 of these. 2 of these. 2 of these. 4 of these. And then 2 of these smaller things. Now, I don't know exactly how these are supposed to go to... Oh, you know what? There's another one of these. So there's another base that's smaller than this one. But this is the red piece. I'm not entirely sure how this is going to go together. But given my experiences with the last one... Oh, you know what? Hang on a second. Yep. I was wrong. They had instructions in the box, but I'm a dummy sometimes. And I took the instructions and properly set them aside, and then surprised myself with, oh, there's no instructions in this. What a weird shortcoming. It wasn't a shortcoming. Not on their part. It was a shortcoming on my part. So it looks like it's a Beluga cover assembly, Beluga case, and a small medium pod assembly. Alright, so I'm going to start putting these together. And hopefully by the time this is all said and done, it'll all make perfect sense like I did with the last time. I'll start with the easiest piece of this, which I believe is going to be the Beluga case assembly. I find it helpful to put out exactly 4 of these little beads, these friction silicone deals in my hand at any one time. That kind of, it minimizes the time I have to reach into that little bag and pull out an individual bead, but also keeps it manageable so that I don't have to keep track of a bunch of beads in my hand, because if you lose some of these, you end up not being able to adhere this together, or not adhere it, but, assemble it. So 4 beads in your hand at any one given time seems to be the way that I strike a balance between not losing the beads and reaching into the bag for any individual bead. Now, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm being a little cautious about this, like peeling off the protective film only just before I assemble the piece. I'm afraid that if I peel them all at the same time, I will end up scratching some of them, and I don't want this to be scratched up. I want it to retain its transparent beauty. It is a very pretty box, and I want to keep it pretty. Oh, it looks like here I reversed this. So this will give me a good example, or a good opportunity to show you how difficult it is to pull these apart. So they're sturdy. In order to pull off one of these, you actually have to push against this tab. You push against this tab at the same time as you're pulling from the other side, and you do it to each of the tabs, and that's about the best way to remove the panel. There we go. Now it reads the right way. So this one is done. So I believe this extra piece, given that this is the last transparent, these are the last transparent components that I have, so these aren't tall enough to get me another one of these cases. I believe this includes a cover assembly, so this will be a cover that'll fit just over this box. I'm pretty sure that's what I've got here. The only way to test that hypothesis is to assemble it. was pretty sure this was the Beluga case cover, and just looking at it, I'm pretty sure I was right. And yep, there it is. This is a single Beluga case. It's the 2-inch variant. They make a 4-inch variant, which I haven't seen. I don't have a need for it right now. I don't have any gigantic models, but I do know that they make it. So this is what it looks like just by itself, without any of the other parts of it. Now this guy, what I have left here is the small and medium pod assembly. Interestingly enough, the film that is used to protect this red acrylic is different than the film used to protect the transparent acrylic. It's a little harder to grab at these corners. And it doesn't come off quite as satisfyingly. Let's call that a word today. Now, you should keep in mind that this protective film isn't there to be satisfying to peel. It's there to protect the model, the acrylic. But it is harder to remove than the other stuff. Now, I mean, it was kind of satisfying in its own right. It's not quite the same as what we're typically used to peeling off, or at least what I'm used to peeling off. But it's got an appeal all of its own. Even if it is quite a bit more difficult. Well, this is strange. I'm finding it much harder. Okay, maybe not. I'm finding it a bit harder to insert the little silicone balls into these holes. With the transparent version, you can kind of just press and they'll go in. These are more resistant. You almost have to kind of get at the little ball right there and push just itself in. And even then, it's pretty difficult to do. I'm not quite sure if that's by design. Or what the deal is. But it is an observation. There we go. Yeah, you have to apply much more pressure to the silicone balls on this red version than I had to do with the clear version. I suspect it, since I'm using, it's the same silicone ball, so it's not something different there. I suspect, if I had to put my money on it, which I don't, but I suspect that maybe these are machined just slightly smaller, and so you need more pressure to put the little ball in there. All right, so I was having trouble figuring out what is going to go with what. So I'm assembling this guy, which I'm pretty sure is this guy, the medium pod setup. And as you can see, I still have a bunch of pieces left over. So what are these pieces that go into here as opposed to the similar pieces that are going to go into this guy? So I'm guessing this is a small pod setup. This is a medium pod setup. And they each have corresponding sides. So I'm not entirely sure what's going to go where, but it is helpful if you look at the instructions. These aren't numbered per se, they're not uniquely numbered, but they do have a relatively unique shape. So this is going to help you determine what to slot into each of these bases. That and trial and error. The pieces largely only fit where they're designed to fit. You can't accidentally put a part in the wrong place. It just won't fit. So, keep that in mind. Now I'm pretty sure this goes in here. And suddenly, see all those smudges? Suddenly I realize why this is a brilliant idea. I'm either greasy right now or I'm handling this part much more than I'm handling the other guy. Let's see, let's look for equivalent smudges. I don't see any. So I'm either handling this much less, or for some reason the smudges are much easier to make out on this guy. You know what? I'll wait till I'm finished building it to clean it. All right, there's one piece. This is the medium pod. I'm going to try my hand at the small pods. All right, there is the first one of these small pods assembled. These are assembled in a slightly different way than these Beluga or even the Orca cases. There's a kind of a paradigm to how each of these pieces goes together, and this is a little different. It deviates from that paradigm just a little bit. You'll notice these pieces right here. These don't have a ball and slot. They just kind of go into those. So these little tabs, and I'll show you right here. Those tabs I just showed you are these right here. Now, the way they work is that they slide into Well, so they slide into something like that. So they just kind of go in that way. And now I don't want to force these in because they're not peeled off. But you'll force them in and they're kind of just stuck there by one. In most of the other builds that in the other builds that I've done for here, each one of these would have its own little ball to make it a very secure system. These kind of scaled back with a number of balls. You'll notice this entire box is held together by 1, 2, and then the 2 over here. Now, I'm not suggesting that's insufficient, because look, it's still sturdy. But you hear that? It creaks. Creak tells me there's some play here. Now, most of you probably won't go around doing this to your box all day, but that give, that play, tells me that it's going to fatigue, it's going to wear down faster than its larger counterparts. So, I don't know, it's efficient, it's different, just beware that this is something that you're going to have to consider as you use these to store your models. It's just slightly less rigid than the original, the other boxes, and so just kind of keep an eye out. So here's the medium, here's the small. I don't think these work together like this, but maybe they do. I think maybe they do. More on that when I finish building this thing. So that's the first time that's happened. Notice here there's a little piece. I'm pretty sure that's the ball. Yeah. See on this side, right here, is a little piece of that silicone ball that's been sheared off. Now, that isn't a problem. I have a bag full of these things ready to go to replace that guy. But it does speak to the, I don't know if the tolerances are smaller, the material's tighter, I don't know what it is, but this is a little harder to put together than the rest of these cases. And so, not inherently a bad thing, but they are a bit more difficult and a little less forgiving. This was the first time I was ever concerned I was going to put this together and it was going to break. So, just be careful, be mindful when you're putting this together. These smaller pieces are easier to break, obviously. They're smaller. So, I didn't break. I just want to clarify. But it is just different from the other pieces that you probably have been building. All right, that's the second one. The second of these small boxes assembled. And I'm pretty sure they fit something like this. So that's the two boxes. And in relation to this Beluga case, that's basically how they fit. So you basically have, it's hard to see because of all the glare, but you basically have a little storage kit that fits inside this Beluga case. And so then you cover it up that way, and there you have it. It's a pretty neat concept, and I'm not done yet. There's still these guys, which, if I'm not mistaken, are dividers that go in there. So let's do some more unpeeling. Owies, ow. Okay, I've unpeeled all of the dividers, and I'm ready to put them in their respective containers. And I noticed something. So these are all the short dividers, but can you tell a difference? I bet you could. So I'm going to make the difference as apparent as I possibly can. You'll notice there what looks like the same pieces are actually two types of pieces. You've got 4 of these and 2 of these that are basically just slightly longer versions of this one. I don't know why, but that sort of reminds me of the old school Pizza Hut logo. All right. Anyway, those short dividers, these guys, are here, but also here. The slightly longer ones will be dividers for the medium pod. The smaller ones will be dividers for the small pod setup. You'll notice that there's 2 of those. There's 2 of those for the small pod setup, but I've got 2 small pods, so there'll be 4. So these will go in here somehow. Not entirely sure how these work. Okay, actually, that wasn't quite as daunting as I was thinking, because you don't have these guys to contend with. For the small pods, you have 2 of these, and they'll go in there. And ta-da! That's all there is to them. You could, if you wanted to, either leave them loose like this, or bruise your fingertips just a little bit more and have a slightly more secured container. Now, well, there we go. Okay. So those little silicone balls will keep them from sliding out, but not permanently. You can move them around as your little heart desires. So I'm going to do that to both of these right now. Well, by slight miscalculation or by design, I'm not quite sure, almost all of these had silicone balls, except for this one. All the silicone balls that were included in this package were used. They didn't have any extra. I suspect because these dividers aren't designed to be used all at the same time. They actually can't be. These small dividers, I'll show you in a second, can only work if you're using one combination of these and not the other. So they won't all be in place at the same time. But if you want to use kind of maximum flexibility or whatever, I had these spares for my last kit. So I'm going to use these just to show you that there's quite a few combinations of these guys, how they fit. It's the reason I bought this box is to hold a bunch of the little things that didn't really exist on their own, right? So weapons or arms that were magnetized that I wanted to take into the battlefield with me, but not in the, I don't want them cluttering around in the box where my actual based miniatures are. And so these small pods, they're relatively straightforward, right? So each one is divisible into 3 compartments, or you can kind of snap one of these off and you have one smaller compartment and a larger compartment, slightly larger compartment, or 2 equally large compartments. So you have 2 of these in the package that I purchased. I guess theoretically you can do that. I'm not sure what you would put in there, but you can do that if that's what you want. I don't know that these are designed to go on top of each other. Maybe not. Oh, maybe they are. And I was just doing it wrong. But you could stack them up on each other. Okay. This guy presents a bit more flexibility. So this is the medium pod, and you have 2 of these small dividers. You have 2 of these dividers and 2 of these dividers, just like the instructions say. So you could, for example, do one of these guys, right? Straightforward. Here. And, here. And you've got your 3 long compartments. You could do something else. You could use these. And then the ones that we were using before, and now you have 9 little cubes to put stuff in. You still have these 2 kind of lying around, and I wasn't sure how to make use of them. And I'm not entirely sure I have it figured out. But I think you use these only in a specific situation. And that's if you decide to split this down the middle. Like so, you could do that. And that. If this makes sense to you, then you could do that if you wanted to. So there's a lot of options in how you can arrange your stuff. So yeah, it's pretty neat. There's a lot you can do with this. I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to use it, but maybe some beginning ideas. So I've got some components here from the very few model kits I've already completed. So I've got these 2 weapons from my Dreadnought, my Venerable Dreadnought, and I've got 2 weapons, a turret, a flashlight, and a case, a hatch. So I use these if I want to use take my Rhino as opposed to my Razorback, or vice versa. So I want to store these in a way that stuff doesn't jangle around. So I could put this in any cabinet. Well, no, not there, but I could do that. And maybe do a little of that. And then a little of that. Now, they're a bit more secure than I, had them before. If I really wanted to, I could, kind of spread them around. But as I collect more miniatures and as I have more, these las guns aren't going to fit in here. How about these? Nope. So vehicle weapons won't fit in that, but they'll fit in a larger slot. So anyway, I have some options for how to store all the different bits that are inevitable in this hobby if you're doing it, well, I wouldn't say right, but there we go. And so then these all go into one of those, and they're covered. And there you are. You can add this to your existing set. I actually can't right now because my set isn't configured to do kind of a multiple stack. I'd have to do some tweaking and maybe, for sure buying some extra pieces, which will inevitably happen when I do that. When I make some of those, I'll have to buy a few more of these guys and build up an entire, kind of an entire cube to hold my army. But this will hold that army's bits. And I'm pretty excited about this. I suspect this will be filled up way quicker than I expect. It's part of the fun, isn't it? So I finished building the other piece that I had. So I had ordered a separate Beluga case. And so that was my confusion about what I had ordered and why I had stuff. So yeah, both of my orders were included in that one shipment. So I have a Beluga case that I ordered, and I've got the storage kit. I forget what it's called. I'm gonna, as I edit this video, I'll look it up and then, post it somewhere on the screen. So I had this, and I had this, and I was trying to remember why I ordered this, because how do I integrate this into my case? I was gonna maybe kind of start another thing, buy a Beluga case, and then do that. But I remembered why I did what I did. This is the cool, neat thing about the system. So here's my existing kit. I'm gonna take off the cover. I'm going to remove these two guys, and now I'm going to do well, maybe it's like this. There we go. There's that. There's that. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with these yet, but I will figure that out. Oh no! That's not going to work like that. Alright, let's do this for now. Oh, you know what? I wonder if these don't go a different way. No, that makes things worse. Oh, okay. Now, now I have my tower. My tower of power. So my quarter case is now, it now has 2 new Beluga cases in it. That's why I ordered this spare. So now I have, yeah, don't twist it. Oh no! I broke one of my stands. Okay. So, I suspect you don't want to do a whole lot of this. Moving stuff around without having the there's a kit, there's a strapping kit that you use. Okay, so before you go crazy, oh my gosh. There we go. Before you go crazy twisting and turning and doing all kinds of nonsense with your Crystal Fortress case, get the strap. I know what my next Crystal Fortress purchase is going to be. This strap. Then I can go crazy jiggling things around. I don't need this. Just thought I'd show you my Space Marine condo here in the wild, dusty, natural habitat. I've got my stubbers in there, my rhino, my small but growing army of Terminators. There's the most recent purchase there. That was the parts box or something like that. And, well, yeah, this is the contents of this video. And then my Hail Blasters, my chapter master or something. So yeah, this is what it looks like. I've got an inbox full of additional stuff for this. I'm gonna get one more of these, and that way I can bring these two, bring them on top of that one. I'm going to get the case, kind of the cover and the carry handle, so that I can use it as a case. Now, I'm not actually taking it anywhere anytime soon, but it's tickling my completionist bone, so that's the plan. I thought I would bring you some closing thoughts on the Crystal Fortress, kind of the parts kit. So the build I just finished. Just a couple of tips, a couple of tricks, a couple of things of just kind of how to think about what it is, what it isn't, and kind of the building experience overall. So the first one of those is the paper film. It's quite a bit harder to remove than the plastic film from the Orca or Beluga cases. So the kit with the red plastic, it has a film, as you saw, that was still plastic film, but it was kind of paper backed. So a combination of paper and the film, and it was a lot harder to remove, especially since there's a ton of small parts, and so you're going to be peeling a lot more than you're peeling of just the plain plastic film. It makes a bit of a difference. It can be a little painful. There might be a tool that is good to use instead of your fingertips or your fingernails. But I wasn't sure what tool to use, and I didn't want to scratch the acrylic, so I just kept using my nail. So it might be a good idea to have not trimmed your nails yesterday, because you're going to need some of your nails, and you're going to need to kind of switch, work a bit ambidextrously, not left and right, although that could help too. But you're going to want to use multiple fingernails to peel where you can, because it does quite a bit of pressure on any one given fingertip. It sounds silly, I know, but there's a bit of a bruise happening, and bruising and 40K or model building those aren't two things I normally associate. Back in the day, I used to work on my car when I was a broke high school kid, and I would get lots of scraped knuckles. I understand that's part of that hobby maintenance thing. Bruised fingertips are not part of the 40K hobby, so just be aware. Another thing that you should probably keep in mind is keep track of those little silicone balls. I don't know for a fact that they're toxic, but I don't want to find out by taking my dog to the vet. You're going to lose control of some of them. They're going to roll out of your hand. They're going to roll around. It's just a thing that's going to happen. They're small and they're rubbery. And when they get into your carpet, it's really hard to spot them. You're going to have to feel around for them, but you don't want your dog eating them. Unless your dog is way smarter than mine, which, statistically speaking, is probably the case. My dog isn't. My dog is cute. That's his job. So, anyway, just keep track of them. If you drop one, pick it up, because it's going to be really easy to lose. And A, you need it for your kit. But B, you don't want your dog, your cat, your toddler, your significant other. You don't want anyone eating that thing. So just pick it up. Oh, yeah. Don't touch your face while you're building this thing, or any other part of you, but the part you're most likely to touch is going to be your face, right? Because these the red kit, more than the clear resin, that one either attracts the fingerprints a lot more, or at least it shows them, right? So maybe there's something having to do with the reflection, that because the light is reflecting off of the red, the red pigment, and it's bouncing back, the smudges are much more visible. So keep your hands clean while you're building this thing. And don't clean the acrylic until after you're done, because you could literally never stop cleaning that thing. Once they're in the clear plastic acrylic of the Beluga case, the smudging concern goes away, and it's just as unsmudgeable as the Beluga case. But while you're building that thing, there's going to be smudges. Keep your hands clean, and that's that. Probably the most important piece of feedback I offer Crystal Fortress. Not that they're listening to me and my dozens of views, not even viewers, because I've got like exactly a handful of subscribers, and probably half of those are my family members. So thank you guys, I love you. Clearer instructions. So there's a paradigm, there's an order, there's a technique to making this case. And once you understand that technique, you're golden. It's super easy, right? You find all the little tabs where you can put a little hole, a little rubber ball or a silicone ball, you put it in there, and you fit the pieces, and they'll fit, right? They'll build the thing that you're intending to build. It'll make sense. The thing is, you have to start somewhere, right? Which piece do you pick? Where do you start? That's a hard one. If you haven't done this a lot, and I haven't recently, but I have kind of a pool of experience where, I didn't just do 40K. When I was a kid, I did model kits and all kinds of good stuff. And the point is, if you don't have a lot of experience in building stuff like this, you need at least some confidence that you're going to be able to pull this off, because there's a ton of pieces, and the instructions it's a one-pager, which is great. They make sense once you've already made sense of it. It doesn't make sense just by reading it and looking at it. You kind of almost have to build the thing, and then the instructions kind of make sense retroactively. They're not great at helping you guide your building process. They're great at helping you make sense of what you've already built once you're like kind of halfway in. You almost kind of have to just start putting stuff together, and halfway through you're like, oh yeah, that's what it means. So I guess it depends on who the audience is, right? If your audience is more experienced and has quite a bit of building credits under their belt, then cool. For beginners, or even people like me, kind of maybe not a beginner, but let's call us novitiates, maybe a bit more clarity would be helpful, both in the purchasing process and in the when they arrive, what's in the package, and then how do I build it? Because even at the purchasing kind of experience, I have a sense for what I'm buying, but I don't really know what I'm buying. I'm going on faith that this company has been around for a little bit. They had a successful Kickstarter, I think, and they have some loyal clientele. And you don't get that because you're Wish.com, right? You get that because you have a record of serving your clients and doing so in a way that keeps bringing them back. So I'm relying on, let's call it confidence, but it's probably akin to faith, right? Because, this is my second kit. The second kit that I bought, I was more confident that I was going to be able to do something with what I bought, and that it was going to be worthwhile. The first one was kind of a faith-based experience, because I had no personal, background information that I was going to succeed at this thing. So I guess what I'm saying is a little bit better communication, a little bit more clarity would be really helpful. I don't know that it's worth investing, thousands and thousands of dollars into it, because I don't know what your rate of return is going to be if you decide to do something like that. But it might help. It might help that novitiate press that submit button to the order for the very first time, and it might make that same person, when they open the box for the first time, a little less intimidated by all the plastic pieces that they have and they have to start to peel. It might be helpful. I don't know. I suspect it would. So that's kind of all I've got for the kind of obviously the building of that little bundle. I'm happy with the purchase. It looks like it's going to do the job that I wanted it to do, which was to help me organize all those little bits and pieces from my Death Watch army that I needed to take with me if I'm ever going to play in public with a real boy or girl. I needed to take these with me because, I might need that extra turret. I might need that extra sergeant, power fist or whatever. I need to take them with me, but I don't want them clattering around my pretty case. So it does that job very well. I just know that I have to go buy some more things from Crystal Fortress, I'm sorry. I have to buy the strap to carry it around because shaking it around, it wasn't a good idea, and I knew it. Thankfully, nothing was damaged at all, so everything is fine. It hasn't detracted from my purchase or building experience, and it shouldn't from yours either. The thing does exactly what it was designed to do. It failed when I did something to it that it wasn't designed to do. In order for me to do that successfully, I'll put the carrying strap on it, and I'll take it with me, which means when I do get that, you'll see another one of these videos with me doing stupid stuff to my case. So you can see how it measures up, or how it stacks up. This was an educational experience for you guys. Thank you for watching. Have an awesome 2021.